Hi guys, today we're diving into the world of anamorphic lenses for your smartphones. Freewell 3.0 Cinemorphic lenses to be more specific. Let's have a closer look. An anamorphic lens is a special type of lens that stretches your image horizontally to a certain amount of Desqueeze ratio. For example, 1.33x or 1.55x are the most popular Desqueeze ratios. An anamorphic lens gives you a wider image with more cinematic field of view, more narrow field of view. And you usually see this in movies because this technology of anamorphic lenses was used previously in the big production with film, but now we can use it with your smartphone. In simple terms, an anamorphic lens gives you a wider field of view and a bigger scene to see without stepping back. We offer two types of anamorphic lenses with 1.55 squeeze ratio and also with 1.33 squeeze ratio. And what is the difference? When you put your 1.33x anamorphic lens in front of your 16:9 sensor, which is used in smartphones, you get an aspect ratio of about 2.35 to 1, which is a very common format in movies. Of course, guys, you need to de-squeeze that image because when you just put the lens onto your camera, you'll see kind of a squashed image and you need to de-squeeze it or kind of squash it this way. And we'll talk about it in a few seconds. Or in other terms, we can say that 1.33x anamorphic lens gives you a wider field of view. For example, here we have the 24mm 1x camera in the iPhone 16 Pro Max, but when we put 1.33x anamorphic lens in front of it, we get around 18mm full frame equivalent field of view horizontally, but we remain 24mm vertically. This is how the anamorphic lenses work. And the second one we have is the 1.55x anamorphic lens, and if you put it in front of the 16:9 sensor, as I said before, you'll get even wider image with the aspect ratio of about 2.76 to 1. Even wider and even narrower field of view, more cinematic, let me say. It is an ultra-wide and very dramatic look. Or if we talk about focal length, your 24mm equivalent 1x lens becomes a 15.4mm super wide horizontally, but remains 24mm field of view vertically. And here is a field of view comparison between 1.33x and 1.55x versions, and you can see the difference on the sides. The 1.55x is a lot wider. Also, our lenses can have different lens flares colors. For example, we have a golden flare right here and the blue flare right here. The blue one gives you classic blue flare for a polished cinematic style, and the gold one creates warm gold flares, giving you a vintage or exotic touch to your footage. And with what smartphones can I use those anamorphic lenses? You can use them from iPhone 13 and 13 Pro lineup up to 16 and 16 Pro lineup, as well as Samsung S24 Ultra, 23 Ultra. And guys, keep in mind that you have to use your main camera lens, 1x lens, on any system, and here is the picture where you can see where the 1x camera is placed. And why using it with the 1x camera? Because this is the best sensor, the best image quality that you have in your smartphone, and our lenses are designed to give you the best image quality. That is why they are designed for the 1x lens on any smartphone. You can technically crop in by using a 2x lens, a digital zoom, but don't expect the best image quality, because when you crop in any sensor with any lens, you still lose a little bit of quality. So how do I attach a lens? You should have a 17mm mount. You can use our Freewell cage or our Freewell case for your smartphones with 17mm threaded mount, and you simply screw that on like this. But also, guys, keep that in mind that you have a spirit level on each of our anamorphic lenses, and you need to place your phone horizontally. You have to level it up, and then you need to make the bubble level to be in the middle of the shot. And in this way, you'll have the correct image. If you place it in the wrong way, the image will be highly distorted, and this is not what you want, guys. So please pay attention to this part, and the barrel of the lens is rotatable for this reason, and it is a very easy and convenient way of leveling up your anamorphic lens. Also, don't forget to turn on the horizon level in your Blackmagic camera app or any app that you're using to film with anamorphic lenses. This will help you a lot to get the best image. And keep in mind, guys, that you can use your anamorphic lenses only in horizontal orientation, because all the anamorphic lenses are designed to be used in horizontal orientation, and in vertical orientation you'll simply get a super distorted image. And what's cool about our 3.0 anamorphic lenses is that they are using a screw-on 17mm mount, which is very popular among mobile filmmakers. The best app to use with our anamorphic lenses is of course Blackmagic camera app, because it is free, it has the Desqueeze ratios built in, 1.33x and 1.55x, and this is all around the best filmmaking app in my opinion. So how to use it? First of all, install the Blackmagic app, Put on your anamorphic lens, go to Settings, select Camera, and then choose the anamorphic Desqueeze ratio that matches your lens, 1.33x or 1.55x. Then you can adjust the exposure, the white balance, frame your shot, and don't forget to adjust the level of your anamorphic lens like I said before. And one more very important thing is that the video will be already desqueezed when you look this afterwards after you filmed it, and you don't have to desqueeze it in post. The Blackmagic camera will do this for you and you'll have already properly desqueezed image. Great touch. A few words about stabilization. The best way to use an anamorphic lens is to disable stabilization completely and to use a 3-axis gimbal. But to be honest guys, I don't love bringing some stabilizers to my vacations, and I did use only my hands to film those images that you're having a look at right now. So I have used the extreme level of stabilization in Blackmagic camera app, but you have to be very precise and get a lot of static shots or very slight movements, because otherwise you'll get a lot of wobble in your shots. Just make sure that you have a very stable surface, a tripod, a monopod, or a gimbal, or just holding your phone very steady and precisely and do a lot of very small and gentle movements. And if you do shoot handheld, I would highly recommend stabilizing your footage in post for additional smoothness, as I did in those examples that you are looking at right now. Keep in mind that this applies to each and every anamorphic lens ever existed. One of the most important characteristics of the anamorphic lens is the flares. As I said, we have the golden flares and the blue flares, and in my opinion they look simply gorgeous, because it's very hard to make a beautifully looking flare with this tiny sensor and tiny optics. But our engineers in Freewell did a great job, and I especially love the blue flares and their characteristics. They are not overwhelming, not overly saturated, and I hope guys that you will love those flares. Keep in mind that in some cases, like when the sun is in front of your lens and you have a lot of little points of light, for example reflections from the water, the flares can be a little overwhelming, so you need to frame your shot accordingly. One more very important benefit of our anamorphic lenses is that we have a 58mm filter thread right here. It means that you can use regular filters from regular lenses, for mirrorless cameras for example, and they are pretty much affordable. They're not proprietary. You can use your variable ND filters, your CPL filters, or even the mist filters to add a lot of character to your footage. One more very famous feature of any anamorphic lens is the distortion, and the barrel distortion is much preferred in the filmmaking community, and our lenses have a pretty strong barrel distortion, especially 1.55x anamorphic lens, and I love those distortions. And also take a look at the corners. They have a very slight vintagey, kind of out of focus and blurry features to them, and it's adding a lot of character to the lens. I just simply love the way they render the footage. Each lens comes in this pretty cool leather-like case with a lot of protection. We also have a very nice metallic front cap and the back cap, and they attach to each other magnetically, so you simply can't lose them. The image quality and the look you get is simply amazing. Just look at the footage I captured in different parts of the world. It doesn't look plasticky, super digital and smartphone-like. To my eye, it really has some cinematic vibes. What do you think, guys? Enjoy the anamorphic creativity with our Freewell Cinemorphic lenses.